Sisters who watch. Sisters who watch. Sisters who watch.
Love Island.
Hey, y'all, hey.
Hello.
Welcome to Sisters Who Watch.
I'm Shelby.
And I'm Laura, and we're sisters who watch everything. TV, movie, sports, concerts, and even Botox singles. Finding love in Mallorca. We love to watch, and we love talking about it even more. Today we're watching
Love
Island UK.
Season 11 of Britain's hit dating show.
Islanders, get ready, Maya Jama. Before we get into Love Island, please make sure you're giving Sisters Who Watch 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts. 5 stars, please. And you can auto-download our episodes. You can leave us a review, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on our Spotify and Apple podcast pages, follow us on our social medias at Sisters Who Watch. Buy our merch, and you can also support us through listener support on Spotify, and you can also Zell us, sisterswhowatch@gmail.com. Thank y'all for the love and support.
So let's dive into it. We're Love Island girlies, so be prepared. We have our sunglasses on. It's like we just woke up in the villa.
We woke up first thing with our shades on.
Gotta put my shades on. So here's the log line. Single hopefuls looking for love complete tasks, couple off, and get voted out week by week. Packed full of drama. It's a messy show, but also there's some love in there, which we need to see. Can't just all be mess. And it's a very popular show hosted by the one and only Maya Jama, who is maybe one of the most beautiful people I've ever seen in my life.
Wow. Every time I see her, it's bombshell. I mean,
yeah, she's the ultimate bombshell.
For sure.
She bombshells every time. And Laura, what were you expecting coming into Love Island UK season 11?
We reviewed UK season 10 last summer, a year ago. So go check out that review.
Yes.
Very messy, popular season. Revered as one of the best UK seasons ever. Season 10 was great. Shelby and I loved it. Ella and Tyreek, Whitney and Lockin, icons.
Jess and Sammy, Molly and Zach.
Molly. So the expectations were high because season 10 was so good. Also, US season 6 was going on this summer simultaneously. And everyone was talking about season 6 of the US Love Island. And we actually reviewed that. So the episode's live. Y'all go check out that episode of... And I feel like that was the season everyone was talking about. No one was talking about UK. US was amazing. And season 10 of UK was amazing. I think the expectations were really high, and I think it kind of dimmed as a result.
I was way more into US. UK, I kind of had to force myself to watch, and there were a few times, like Uma leaving with Will, where I stopped because I was annoyed. And when US ended, I revisited it and caught up, but it was definitely not its best season. And honestly, I think the first year Love Island USA was not only better, but buzzier than UK.
For this episode, we're going to highlight the different couples and the drama surrounding the final 5 couples. So first, we got to get them out the way. We're going to talk about Joey and Jesse, y'all. Joey Essex.
Joey Essex from The Only Way is Essex. He's reality famous in the UK, and a lot of people were annoyed about that because Love Island is supposed to cast normal people, right? Regulars, people that don't have a background. So Joey definitely came in with an advantage because people knew who he was, but also he knew how to navigate reality TV. I had never heard of him. Had you heard of him or the show he was on?
I did not know who Joey Essex was. I was like, who is this person? And when he was a bombshell, he was the first bombshell who walked into the villa. Everyone was like, oh, it's Joey. It's Joey Essex. It's Joey. Oh my gosh. And I was like, who is Joey Essex? And then I looked him up. Oh, he's from The Only Way is Essex, which is one of the most popular reality shows in the UK. And then I saw that Joey Essex was just on a string of reality shows. He's like The Situation, He's like the... He's the only way Pauly is D.
Jersey Shore.
Yes, okay. He's like the Pauly D of the UK. So that's kind of okay, I understand now. He's this reality star who's kind of washed up, still single. Like a career reality star. I'm like,
it's like if the
okay.
situation was on The Bachelor.
Yes, which is so strange. You're like, why would they?
Like, why would he be a contestant?
So I have an idea of who he is. I didn't know exactly who he was. And wow, was he really annoying?
Oh my gosh. Part of the reason why I didn't want to watch, to be honest.
He made the season almost unwatchable. It kept on going on and on. I was like, how is he getting worse? So in the beginning, for context, Shelby, he was fine. He was kind of like, he knew he was Joey Essex, but he seemed...
He was feeling himself.
Yeah, but he seemed fine. There were no red flags. I feel like this is when the season started. When Grace came in as a bombshell, and Joey's like, oh my, I know that bed. I know that girl. And you're like, oh no. And then you find out that Grace and Joey met each other in Ibiza, in Ibiza. Some holiday, like fling, and then Joey kind of like ghosted her, like it fizzled out. And then they have an overnight kind of date, and then you see Joey just making out with Grace, and you're like, oh, Samantha's toast. And the way that Joey tried to gaslight Samantha into saying, oh, we were always a friendship couple, it was never romantic, and it's like, what? Are we not watching the same show, Joey? Are you kidding me? It was just so disturbing how Joey moved. The switch up was unbelievable. And that's when you started watching, Shelby.
Yes. I started watching Love Island UK season 11 when Samantha got dumped. So it was perfect timing. It seems like that's when the season picked up. Felt bad for Samantha. Like she seemed to be just crying all the time. Even at the end, Samantha seemed still kind of upset about what Joey did. And he was doubling down on the friendship couple piece. He seemed like he had no remorse. It was giving Delulu.
Joey's giving sociopath. Like the way he's distorting reality and the way he's treating all these people. I'm like, is he well? It felt like he was trying to convince everyone that they were all wrong about everything. When clearly Joey was wrong about everything.
He was irrationally confident. It didn't make sense. It was like, no, Joey, you're not right. That's not how it happened.
And it was very calculated, right? Like, clearly, he was like, oh, I'm going to make Samantha feel like she's crazy and that we never had a real relationship. People were saying that there is some conspiracy about Joey being a plant and this game player. Like, what have you seen about that online?
Yes, I went in a rabbit hole. There's been a lot of tweets and blog articles about whether or not Joey's a plant. One, he's like kind of like a celebrity in the UK. So the fact that he was brought on and has had a relationship with ITV, the producer of the show, had been on ITV shows. So obviously knows the production team, the network. So that's an immediate red flag. He comes in as a bombshell, right? So has the power. They don't make him like just an OG. He's a bombshell. They make him the first bombshell, right? That's the best position because you're still early on. You're like an OG. They then, when he's not really feeling Samantha anymore, conveniently bring in his ex, Grace, into the show to swoop in so he can quickly move on to someone else when he and Grace are not voted as like a top couple by the public and are vulnerable. He quickly moves on to Jesse, and conveniently another blonde comes in for him to talk to. He makes it seem like Grace is obsessed with him and keeps insisting that Grace is still interested in him, even though she said she's not. He gets involved with other people's relationships and seems to be trying to tear down like successful and threatening couples like Mimii and Josh, like Nicole and Ciaran. It's like there was someone in his ear telling him, oh, these are the popular ones, you should go for it. And he was the only person to go to the hideaway twice. How come no one else got to go to the hideaway? That doesn't make sense. The fact that he doesn't do anything bad in Casa. This man has had his head turned twice.
That felt so fake.
And now he turned over a new leaf with Jesse. I'm not going to do anything. I'm a good guy. No, you are playing a game. You know it looks awful to act bad in Casa. You're trying to play to the cameras, and we see it. So yeah, there are all these little breadcrumbs where people feel like he knew what he was doing. He had someone in his ear. He knew kind of how to navigate or who to attack. It's very convenient that Jesse wins the talent show so then they can go to the hideaway again and have like a private time date, more screen time. I fast-forwarded through it. I could care less.
I did too.
Any like time with Joey and Jesse, I was like, no thanks. Skip. And then people were like, why was Joey the one to go with Ciaran shopping to pick out a necklace for Nicole? They've been beefing. That doesn't make sense. Like, they just kept placing Joey in places for, like, more screen time, trying to redeem himself, seem like a better person. When it wasn't the case. This guy is awful. So for all those reasons, people feel like they were scheming to get him to the finale. But joke's on them, because Joey, Essex, and Jesse got dumped right before the finale by their fellow Islanders, because the Islanders got to decide who was the least compatible couple and who they wouldn't think would work on the outside. And obviously, the answer is Joey and Jesse. Obviously. And but they somehow had skated, because there was always like a worse couple gonna be Lola and Harry because they just came. Or like, oh, it's gonna be Grace and Ruben and Joey and Jesse are second. Like, they always kept like missing it. But finally, they did not miss it. They were gone. I too.
Yeah, that was cinema watching. All the people that Joey did wrong get to send him home. I love seeing Samantha being like, well, we want a friendship couple. I'm going to dump Joey and Jesse. And then Grace also dumping Joey and Jesse.
Ruben, all of them. I was like, yes.
Everybody. It felt so correct.
It was giving like Survivor, like a Survivor jury. And they finally got to get back at them.
Because you can't tell me that Joey and Jesse deserved to be in the finale. It didn't make any sense.
I don't trust Joey. It didn't really seem real. I don't really like Jessie. She seemed to like what I think Matilda was saying. I forgot who was saying. Like, just be like Joey's guard dog. And whatever he did, she would back him no matter what. And it was giving like a little cringy.
Like, she was so into Joey, and I was trying to
understand why.
Right? And I just did not understand. I totally agree. I'm embarrassed for her, honestly.
Yikes.
And the way that Joey was coming for Grace all season, it felt like he was still into her. He was like, she's obviously into me.
He wasn't over it.
Like that tennis date, that was horrible. He was like, well, if she was being honest, she would have voted for me. And it's like, why are you so obsessed with her? And everyone's like, Joey, it's giving you're not over it. Like, Grace has given no indication that she's still into you.
So it's just like, well, she's being friends with Jesse because she's trying to still be close to me. What?
The girlies are just friends. They're all friends.
They get along, even if they've been through stuff, right? Mimi's still gonna try and be friendly with Jessica, even though she's with Ayo now. Like, that's what they do. They're all in this house. They all just get past it, and they all hang out.
On to our next couple. Ayo and Jessica. Ayo and Jess.
They came in 4th place.
Yes.
In the finale. I'm really glad they at least made it to the final 4, because I feel like they had a better connection than Joey and Jesse.
Yes.
For sure. They were a Casa couple. So Ayo went into Casa more, still in a relationship with Mimii. Like, Mimii and Ayo had a bit of like a rocky journey, right, Laura? I didn't watch this part, but I know Mimii initially was with Ayo, and then Uma stole Ayo, but then Mimii got Ayo back. And they seemed to be in a good place when they went to Casa, but Jessica immediately turned Ayo's head. It was like so fast.
She's like, what's your type? She said, he's like you.
Literally. It was clear. They clicked right away. And everyone was kind of egging Ayo on, like Kendall in the US version. Crazy how quick it felt like people forgot about Mimii.
Yeah, it's giving Kendall the way the men were like, yeah, Jessica, like, I've never seen you smiling so much, bro. Look at you.
Full life, your personality, you're back.
I was like, no, like, what? Y'all really be shady to Mimii.
So shady.
Yeah, and I do agree, like, Jess is just more silly and outgoing, so she did bring out that side of Ayo, so I'm not mad at Ayo for choosing her. Like, it wasn't as messy as, like, the USA.
No, it was not.
So I wasn't upset at Ayo, I was just upset for Mimii. Like, I was upset
I felt bad for Mimii.
Yeah.
She was, like, sleeping outside and, going through it with Uma while their men were acting crazy. There were a lot of factors against them. They were, like, always in the bottom of the fan votes. Like, everyone kept bringing up the Ayo and Mimii situation. It's like Jessica could not live And
I know, poor
they pushed
Jess.
through. So I think of all the couples to be tested, they were tested a lot.
It's like they didn't have any easy time while they're in there. They're
No.
constantly, oh my
Always in
gosh,
kind of like drama or being called out in a game. They were
always.
picked for being least compatible a lot, which I don't really agree with. Like, they seem to have a good connection. It felt like people were kind of anti-Ayo because of how things went with Mimii.
Yes,
And I think
I
that's
agree.
why they were being voted least compatible.
And they almost went home, right? They had, it was really
Multiple
close
times,
between
Laura.
Jesse and Joey and
Yeah.
Ayo and Jessica in the last vote.
But like, they were always in the bottom.
Always,
Oh my gosh, they got through the skin of their teeth. I mean, I do think Jessica was very clear about her feelings, and Ayo not as much. Like, she was like, I'm obsessed with Ayo. I'm obsessed with you.
Obsessed.
Like, so into him. And I think because he's a bit more chill and quiet and reserved, he wasn't showing it as much as she was. But you could still see they were connected. But I could sometimes see how it felt like an imbalance for sure.
It felt like Jessica was like, "Say you love me. Say you're obsessed with me."
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, man." And it's like, Ayo, give us something. I just think Ayo doesn't express his feelings well.
With him.
It was interesting how, Uma and Will voted for them to go home. That flabbergasted me. I was like, y'all really turn on the black folk. Like, what are we doing here? No, you cannot convince me in any way that they're less compatible than Joey and Jesse. That really blew my mind. And I'm curious what you thought of Ayo's brother saying that Mimii seemed better suited for him. Because this was a big point of contention that a lot of people used to vote him out.
Mimii might appear like more mature. So maybe if you're the older brother and you're watching this, like, Mimii might seem a bit more put together and like formal. She probably fit more of like wifey material than Jessica, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see the brother saying that. Or maybe he knows Ayo and he's like, yeah, Ayo's more of like a quiet, chill guy, and that matches Mimi's energy. Whereas Jess is like a bit more like frantic and upbeat, and it's like maybe too much for him. I felt bad because we see stuff on TV, right? We're not in the situation, so it's tough to judge as viewers, and you could tell how sad Jess was.
I know, Jess really was put through it. I think she had probably the toughest go in the villa. On to Sean and Matilda. Tilly, third place. The Candyman.
Sean was an OG, right?
Yes. And he was kind of in and out of couples. Like he was with Harriet and Jess, but he got pied. He got pied quite a few times. And he was like, I just need my girl. And then Tilly
walks in as a bombshell, and he just lost his mind. He was a kid in a candy store. He was very happy. My only thing with how Tilly and Sean got started is, so Tilly was also interested in Omar. Then there was a vote, and the Islanders had to decide what boy or girl to dump. And Sean was gunning for Omar because he didn't want to have competition for Matilda. It's Matilda's decision. Why would you unilaterally take out the other connection she has? She should have the agency, not you. And also, as a guy, where's your pride? Don't you want her to pick you for you, not because you were the only option? That immediately, I was like, don't like Sean. That was it for me. And then he just got worse and worse because of his friendship with Joey. Initially was like, oh, the Candyman, he seems cute. Like, he was giving like the nice guy who like gets pied all the time, like a Anton. But then he kind of became like a Mitch. And I was like,
that's a perfect
an annoying guy in the villa
parallel.
That's getting into other people's messes.
Entitled, messy. Yeah. I 1000% agree. Because in the beginning, I remember liking Sean. He was really sweet. He was funny. The Candyman shtick didn't get old yet. And it got old very, very fast soon after that. But once he sent Omar home, I was like, oh, something's wrong with this boy.
That is nice.
Immediately. And I loved when Sean got voted, like, which couple's the biggest ick? Oh yeah, that was
Matilda got
good.
so annoyed, and it was like, well, it's because of Sean.
Because Sean is so icky. Ew.
He also got voted like worst dressed, and she got so mad. It's like, well,
Yeah,
it's 'cause
she
of
was
Sean.
mad about
Who are
that.
you partnered with?
Right? So then the other moment where I was like, oh, there was something wrong with Sean. And like, this was when I first started to not like him. When he kissed Tilly on the terrace and
He pulls
he
the Tom
jumps
Cruise.
up. Pulls the Tom Cruise, he jumps up. I just got my first kiss on the terrace. And
Ugh.
screams to the whole villa. I was like, that was the worst thing I've ever seen.
It was like Tom Cruise on the couch. I love
Oh
her.
my
I love
God.
her. It's like, relax.
That was so
Settle
weird. So it was Omar in that where I was like, something's wrong. Something's gone astray. And then this whole Candyman thing, my sweets and the fuzzy watermelon slice.
Yeah, let me guess your sweet. What kind of
sweets?
sweets? Are you? Oh my god.
Guess what kind of sweet you are? Casa? Who would have thought that Sean would have been the messy boy in Casa? Not me. That was not on my bingo card.
Feeling himself. And to your point, he was giving little Kendall. It's like he got a little attention. He got a little big. And he was like, he's using his big D energy.
He was making out with both Diamante and Ruby. I could not believe it. When he was like, Diamante, you're my priority.
So bad.
Girl, I thought you were just screaming over how much Tilda is the girl of your dreams. What about Matilda? What happened? The whole Candyman thing, it was too much. His roast in that talent show.
Oh, I hated calling him
calling Josh a dummy for your dummy for the secret mission. And I was like, what is wrong with him?
And then he's shocked Josh is upset. I'm like,
and then he planned his final date with Tilly was like a candy theme. I was like, we get it. You own a sweet shop. Like, it was too much. How does Tilly put up with them?
That's why I think they were voted third.
I think it was, it seems like a bit. It's not real.
Voted for them as least compatible because he was like, I know Matilda. I don't think Sean's the one. And I was like, oh.
That was so shady.
I don't think Matilda really likes him.
No, I think it's a front. I'm like, there's no way.
Like, if you were into Omar and Sean, they are very different people. Okay?
The Candyman.
You choose between the Candyman and like this black god who's like jacked. Very different people.
No way. Okay, Ciaran and Nicole. Onto them.
When she would say like key or C, like I can't even.
Ciaran. I have no idea.
Her accent is wild. I guess there wasn't anyone who was Welsh last season because I'm like, I have not heard that accent before. Or maybe her accent's very thick. The Welsh accent did me in.
Ciaran. Who's Emma?
Her accent was a highlight. I won't lie. You know, it
was good.
She and Ciaran, they were OGs and they were together from the beginning. But when I started watching, they were fighting a lot.
They fought a lot.
It seemed to stem from Nicole not trusting Ciaran. She was giving very like jealous.
Insecure.
When Ciaran was like loyal, man. Like he was like the most loyal guy in the villa.
I know.
He was obsessed with Nicole. Like, you can't explain it. Like, I don't know. Not that I don't know why, but
it seemed like bizarre
how
much he was into her. He was like, I'm in love with this girl. I'm head over heels. And I'm like am I missing something? It felt like all of a sudden they're in love and confessing their love to each other.
Yeah,
like, when did this happen?
Like, pump the brakes. Did I miss something? What's going on?
Ciaran, the British Nick Viall.
I can't. I
remember
really
watching
it.
You know, he looks so much like Nick Viall. I remember we were watching it together and I was like, who does he look like? I was like, oh my gosh, he looks like Nick Viall. He's so much like him. Go look at a picture of the two of them. Like, I never really bought their relationship. They seem very sweet. They obviously care about each other a lot. They're really into each other. But I just, like you said, they were into each other so soon, so fast, so hard. It was kind of alarming. It was like, wait, why? How did this happen so fast? And they were combative, you know. Nicole was constantly being like, well, you said this about Grace. Of course you like find Grace attractive. And then when he was like, she asked about, you know, how many sexual partners he had. And that caused nonsense, just insanity. 110 partners at the age of 21. I don't know how that's mathematically possible.
I still don't believe it, but he said it, so obviously it's true.
Right.
He also said he's
wouldn't
been
make
with
that up.
like someone in his 40s or 50s. Remember, didn't he say that? Like, oh yeah, I've been with someone who's like in her 40s and 50s. It was like a boys' weekend. I was like, what? I'm like, you are an interesting guy at 21. That's all I can say.
And he's a rugby boy. Cole was like, I can't date a rugby boy, but she ended
I
up,
can't date a Welsh man. Well, you have a Welsh rugby boy that you fall in love with. And you're now your boyfriend. Yes. That stupid eggy boff game that Ronnie came up with.
Classic Ronnie. Classic.
I don't really get the point, but basically it's like you just ignore someone. Whoever cracks first, you know, you lose. And it was very stupid for Ciaran and all of them do it towards Nicole. Nicole has like a quick fuse. So I would not
the worst person to do that.
Play the game with her. So she walks up to the boys and is like, Ciaran or Ciaran, whatever. Ciaran. Silence. And she gets pissed. She's fuming.
She's fuming, bruv. She's fuming.
She walks off. She's like, you know, ignoring me like that with the boys, da-da-da-da. And that became like a big issue.
Yes, it caused a big fight. Mugging me off. I just felt so mugged off in that situation. And Kim was like, it's just a game. It's just a game.
Crazy.
Nicole, don't play games with Nicole. Do not play games with Nicole.
Yeah, they should not play games. So
no more eggy boff.
Towards the end, they fought less. And they had been together from the beginning. So I do think they were the front runners to win. Out of all the Islanders, they were likable, you know? Like, I reflect. I'm like, I didn't really like Jesse and Joey. I didn't really like Matilda and Sean. Like, Ayo didn't have that much personality. Like, so, like, when you think about it, it's like, oh, I can see why people like Nicole and Ciaran.
They were the only good couple for
the only good couple
70% of the season.
Nicole was like a ride or die for the girlies. She was definitely a girl's girl. I like how she had Mimi's back the whole time with Ayo and then Josh, like riding for them, being like they have a connection. Like, I respected that. Ciaran was not afraid to like call out Joey and Sean, which we love.
I loved that because you know how on all these shows, the men enable each other. We see this on every, all other season. But the way these men were coming for each other's necks was wild. I've never seen anything like it. These men were fighting, and Ciaran was calling out Joey and Sean. It was so good. These men don't listen to women, right? If the women call them out, they're like, oh, these girls are crazy. Like, the girls are just chirping, But it's like Ciaran needed to be like, no, bro, like, you're on the wrong, and yell at them for them to actually be like, okay, like, relax, man. Also, another favorite moment, Ciaran, when he called out Harriet, remember he was like, well, I didn't get dumped by three couples. I was like,
oh my gosh. Yeah, Ciaran did not play.
He did not.
And then Harriet started to cry. And then Jess was like, she can't take it. She can give it, but not take it. Crazy.
Oh, Harriet was an icon. What? Always looked drunk. Always looked drunk. I can't. Okay, on to our final couple.
Our winning
Josh and Mimii. Snaps, claps for our winners. Our first ever Black couple winners of Love Island UK. Can you believe it? In 11 seasons? That's wild.
And what's crazy is, and I sent this to you, Laura, like a few weeks ago, again, when I was in my Love Island, like, deep dive, like a thread that was talking about all of the times when, like, Black people were sabotaged from winning by, like, producers or just, like, the circumstances in the show. So I was, like, feeling really upset because I was like, oh, I'd love for a Black couple to win UK. I was like, I don't think Ayo and Jess can, but I'd love Mimii and Josh too. Like, they were my shit. I was so hopeful, but I didn't believe it. It's the UK.
Yes.
I'm like, especially with them being attacked 24/7
constantly
by Joey Essex and Sean. Like, they could not breathe. It was like they moved and like they'd be like, oh my gosh, Mimii still loves Ayo. Oh my gosh, Josh is too into you. Oh my gosh,
secret mission.
Secret mission. It's like, calm down. Let these two people who seem to like each other
couldn't
enjoy each other's
live.
company. So it
So
was
annoying.
such a big deal. And they are a beautiful, dark-skinned African couple. They're so hot. They were voted the hottest couple by the public, which we love to see.
Correct.
They did really well in that vote. Like, they were voted like hottest. They were voted like most genuine.
It's all the positive
All the
stuff.
positives. I was like,
Love
thank
it.
you. The public's seeing it, even though
Right?
the villa can't. But the public's like, no, they're great. That was such a validation as a fan.
Yes.
Thank goodness. Thank you, British public, for recognizing how amazing they are. I think people voted because they like Josh and Mimii, but I also think a vote for them was a vote for Mimii and like her journey. She had a lot of ups and downs. And I always think the girl that gets abandoned during Casa, people are going to feel for her no matter what. So
Yes.
Josh was like a knight in shining armor coming as a bombshell right after Casa More with Ruben.
Perfect.
And, you know, he rescued Mimii after the Casa mess. They were just so cute. And again, some ups and downs, people trying to get in the way. That Snog, Marry, Pie game where Josh kissed Grace and Mimii kissed Ayo. I was like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? They quickly moved past it.
Well, Joey and Sean didn't move past it. They kept on bringing that up.
Mimii and Josh did, but
yes,
sadly,
yes.
Joey and Sean did not. But they were able to overcome it nonetheless. Honestly, it was amazing to see them overcome all the obstacles.
The haters could not touch them, right? And like you said, if anything, it made them stronger, right? They appeared more likable, right?
Yes.
Because Joey and Sean were trying to tear him down. Joke's on
That's
you.
really
You made people root for them more.
Didn't work.
No.
Literally.
No.
It made people more excited and like, no, I want to see them do well. They're overcoming this.
You know, I don't cry that much during reality TV. And the one time I shed a tear this season was during Josh's speech and poem to Mimii at that final dinner.
Same.
Like, wow. You just don't see Black woman, right? And especially someone looking like Mimii, right? Dark skin, like, you know, not super over the top, you know, not like super hypersexual, whatever. Like someone who's just quiet, minds her business, right?
Yes.
You don't see someone like her being cherished and loved like on TV. You just don't see that. And the way that Josh was treating her was just, he treated her like a queen. Oh my god.
It was unbelievable. Besides, I guess, Ciaran, he was like by far the best guy. Like, he
100%.
was such a gentleman. He was so kind. He was so focused on her. He had to deal with like all the drama around and the shenanigans, but like handled it well, even though Joey and Sean were pushing his buttons every chance they could.
Stood up for Mimii every single time. And never once disrespected Mimii. Unlike, I feel like every man in the villa disrespected their woman.
Felt right for them to win. And I was like, wow, my faith is really being restored in people these days. Serena and Cordell winning, Josh and Mimii winning. I'm like, pinch me. That. But this is like a summer of black love. What's going on? Like, this
I know, I'm not used to Black people doing well on
reality TV.
Dating shows. That never happens. We talk about it a lot. Like, we're always done dirty. Always.
Yeah. Like, this doesn't seem real, but I'm enjoying it. Thank you. This is
I know, we're soaking it in. Okay, are we ready for our category, Shelby?
Yes.
So, who or what did you love to hate from Love Island UK season 11?
When I started watching, I immediately really liked Uma. And she was stunning. She had this beautiful, like, raspy voice. Like, she just very striking, tall, like liked her. She seemed to handle herself well. But she was with Will, who just didn't seem to be good enough for her, in my opinion. This was before Casa. Like, I just didn't love how he was moving even then. It felt like he didn't realize what a gem he had in Uma. It felt like he was trying to keep it cool. Then when Casa happened, you know, went out the window. He was moving wild. He pulled an Aaron, like from the US. Moving wild, and then wants to get back with his girl.
And expect there to be no consequences. Girl, bye.
Bye. When Will gets dumped from the island because Ruben picks Uma and wants to treat her better, and Uma decides to leave with Will, I was done.
Embarrassing.
I had to take like a 2-week break from Love Island UK.
That's also when I took the break too. That's when I was like,
and
okay,
US
let me
is
go
so
watch
much better.
US.
I was like, why am I watching 2 episodes a day? I can't with UK right now. I'm done.
This man treated you so poorly.
Ugh.
And you have this incredibly attractive man in Ruben who's all about you, who we saw moved quite well in the villa, like was very respectful, like good guy, and you leave him for Will? Like, girl, it's not absolutely not adding up. And she was like, I've never had a boyfriend, never been in love. I think she was like, I love this boy, and she just was like, I guess I have to leave with him.
Bad decision.
Embarrassing. I mean, they're still together, so we'll see.
Maybe the proof is wrong.
Speaking about the men this season were wildin'. I mean, the male drama. It's interesting, the girlies were not really fighting. There was some drama with Jess and Harriet, a little bit. But besides that, the men, the claws were out with these boys. I thought that was so interesting. Kind of like The Bachelorette this season. These men are messy, and they're looking to fight. Ciaran, Josh, Joey, Sean, they were all going at it the entire time. Ayo, like, I was like, y'all need to stop coming for me. It was unbelievable how much fighting there was. All the men were mad at each other. And you usually don't see that. It's usually the opposite.
It was surprising. And I blame Joey and Sean. They were a really bad dynamic duo.
Yes.
They were the messy brothers.
And it was interesting how Ciaran was like friends with the black guys and not.
Yeah, I know.
I noticed that.
Like Ciaran.
I was like, oh.
He was like, Ayo's my best bud.
I know. And Ayo and Josh. Yeah, my boys.
Like Ayo, Josh, Ruben, and Ciaran. They were the buddies. And then Joey and Sean.
Flag. That is a green flag.
Yikes.
Something else that I have for love to hate. The budget this season? What happened to the budget? There were no new final dates. Like, you know, the final dates, they usually all 4 of the couples like go out
confused.
And they do something fun, right? We saw in USA, they went like paragliding and all these fun activities. Yeah. But they let the boys spend like $10 at
screaming. At like a bodega.
Spanish stores. Yes, at a bodega. They took them to a grocery store. It was literally a corner store. What grocery store was that? They gave them a budget of $10 each. They let Josh and Mimii buy like a €5 bear. And I'm like, what's going on? Why were there budget cuts? Because that's what it was giving.
And it's weird because you were able to have some dates throughout the season that were so much nicer. Like the Mimii and Ayo date where they went on a boat.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, so you were afforded some nice dates. So I don't know what's going on. Or even like the Mimii and Josh date where they went to the market. Like you could have even done that. Right? Like just get them out of the villa. Don't let them cook like a awful meal with sweets.
Yeah, like I thought that was so strange. Their final dates are in the villa. Okay, what do you have for hate date?
You know, shocker. All of Joey's antics, but particularly the secret mission. First of all, bad on Mimii for thinking she could trust Joey Essex.
Literally, that part. Why? Again, out of all the men in the villa?
Did the producers say, ask Joey?
100%. It was a producer.
That's what it's
for
giving.
Sure. Because out of all the men in the villa, why'd you ask Joey?
If anything, you'd ask Ciaran, who's like Ayo's best bud. Like, it just didn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
And Joey, of course, initially seemed to try and do it well, right? Like, he secretly talked to Ayo. He was like, Mimii wants to talk to you. I was like, no. Joey tried to convince him. Then Joey went to tell Mimii, and like, she was like, oh, okay, thanks. Then in a challenge, he like votes for Mimii, and Josh is like not gonna make it or work on the outside or something because of the secret mission he went on. And everyone's like, what? Because he says this in a game in front of everybody. He's like, what are you talking about? And Mimi's like, Joey, stop. Like, what are you saying? And then he just keeps bringing up the secret mission when Jesse, his partner, didn't even know. Like, no one knew. So he makes it seem like a bigger deal than it is, when it really was Mimii just trying to talk to Ayo privately instead of like having so many eyes on them. But he made it seem like it was seductive. Mimii had ulterior motives. So he made Josh look like a fool. He made Jessica look like a fool. He just made everyone look bad. And the worst part was he said, oh yeah, when I like went to, tell Mimii Ayo wouldn't come, she was on the ground in like a seductive position.
holding a glass in a seductive way. I was like, not him villainizing black women. I literally was like, he would never say that. He would never ever say that about any of those blonde girlies. That was, I actually, because the whole thing was a mess, but when he was like, well, she was sitting on the ground in this seductive pose with her legs crossed and holding her glass of wine, I was like,
over him.
Not that.
What a clown.
That really upset me. I was like, how dare he insinuate that about Mimii? That really, at that point in the season, I was like, I can't watch this. Like, it was so honestly hard to watch. It was really hard to watch.
Every moment, it felt like Joey and Sean were coming for Mimii. Like, every second. And I was like...
And it was really it felt very targeted.
It felt very targeted. It honestly felt racist. Like, I mean, why aren't you coming for other people? Mimi's supposed to be your friend, Joey. You wouldn't act like this. You'd apologize for it and then do it again. So, stop.
Clownish. Harriet and Ronnie were just such hot messes all season long. And I was so surprised when they got sent home because, right, they were the characters in the villa. Like, they were just personalities, friends with everyone. Yeah. And then they were voted off by the public as least compatible. I was surprised by that. Harriet just always looked so disheveled. Always looked just lost, drunk. It was very funny. And Ronnie was such a clown. I remember our brother was like, oh, I love Ronnie. He's so fun. I'm like, Ronnie is a fool. The way he was playing all these women, he played Jess, he played Harriet, he went for the bombshells, and somehow they're still together. So
maybe they're a perfectly crazy match.
It's possible.
But I definitely agree that I think Ronnie played a few games. I started watching when he picked Harriet in a recoupling. And then quickly dumped her for a bombshell. And was like, oh, I love the bombshell. And the bombshell Tiffany was in like, oh, I don't really like him anymore. So then Tiffany gets dumped. And then he goes back to Harriet. And Harriet's like, oh my gosh, yes, I want him. And then Jess was like, oh, I might want Ronnie too. And I was just like, what?
What about Ronnie are driving these girlies wild?
Yeah, literally. The girls were obsessed with Ronnie. And it was just really hard to follow.
My friend called his hair suspicious. And I can't agree more. His hairline.
It's like a weird kind of comb over and greasy thing. I don't know. But yeah.
Send help to Ronnie's hairline. In the toxic bromances this summer from both UK and US, they need to be stopped. Enabling each other.
Thumbs down.
The way he played Sean in the end, when Sean was like, I can't believe my best mate, I can't believe Joey voted for me and Tilly. Like, I can't believe that. And Jessica was like, yeah, that was crazy. I can't believe Joey voted for you. And he was like, oh, like after he left, like Joey said that he voted for me and Matilda so that there'd be like more options and that he would get less votes. And Jessica was like, oh my gosh, Joey really is a game player. Joey was playing the game this whole time.
No one wanted to believe it.
And he even threw his best mate under the bus.
Sean, he didn't care about you. He needed you to be his mouthpiece and like put his initiatives through. Seriously. And just taking orders from a master. Literally. And you could tell in the final, Sean started to like feel regrets. He was like, wait, have I been played by Joy this whole time? He voted for me and Matilda. He made me kind of come out of character and isolate people and come for relations. Like, you could tell, I could start to see the gears in his head. Like, oh, maybe Joey is not the friend I thought he was, or even a good influence on me. And I was like, too little, too late, Sean. You dug your grave, now hump in it. No,
you made your bed, now hump in it. To quote Serena from USA, I can't. Something else that was definitely a least favorite moment was that wretched cursed talent show.
Worst thing I've ever seen on TV.
But when Ruben started singing, God bless his soul.
Singing in the rain.
You could tell people were like so unsure how to feel. You could see Grace getting the ick in real time. She was like, oh. That was so cringy. Ruben, and he tried so hard. He was dancing. Oh no, that was so bad. And Grace doing yoga and like people getting on the floor. They were like right in front of the fire pit.
Dog, like in their outfits. I was like, this is not a good idea.
No, Tilly's toes. No one wants to see her toes, Matilda.
Her toe puppet show. That was crazy. And then Ayo on the flute broke my eardrums. Josh making waffles. I'm
How
like,
is that somehow one of the best talents too?
yeah, that was one of the better ones. What did Joey do? He rapped.
Yeah,
I was
that
like,
rap.
Joey, you're not a rapper.
It was
Everyone was
fine.
rough. Even
Everyone
like
was bad.
Mimii singing, like that was technically one of the better ones, but she wasn't even that good. They were all like Mimii, Jessie, and someone else from the top. I was like, Mimii?
Her timid singing to 1,000 miles, like that was something.
Top 2 performance?
And also Ciaran, like he did some rugby thing, and I was like, wait, shouldn't you be better at this? Didn't it feel like he was barely doing rugby? Like he was just like he like threw and caught a ball and like threw it or something. I was like, what? Yeah, Nicole's dancing. The talent show was not good.
And then of course Sean had to do his roast and insult people. I was like, I can't.
Called Josh a dummy. Oh my!
Always finds a way.
Always. The only good one was Jessie and her stilts. And like we said, was it all a part of a conspiracy?
Yeah, I'm like, how did she get stilts? No one else was able to get really nice props. That's crazy. They literally were trying to make it so people would like Jessie more, and that Joey and Jessie could get to the hideaway and have more alone time.
On to Love. What do we love, Shelby?
Black love, of course. Josh and Mimii joined Ciaran and Cordell as the black couples to win Love Island this summer. You love to see it. We don't get it often, so when we get it, we cherish it. Thank you, Love Island, for a summer of black love. We appreciate it.
I know. Wow.
Something else that I love is Mimi's eyelashes, and particularly when they had that sports day activity and she was last picked.
I was like, ouch.
One of the exercises was to like swim in the pool, and her eyelashes, she was protecting them. She was like, I gotta keep them dry during the sports day. I thought that was hilarious. So I loved her eyelashes staying dry.
And while that like swimming race, how Mimii just gave up and Josh jumped in the pool to bring her to that. A real one. Continuing our loving of Josh and Mimii, their little bear that they got on their date, Joey. We love to love Joey.
So cute. Joey. Team Joey all the way.
Are you ready for a game, Shelby? Red flag, green flag. 1, 2, 3. Is it a red flag to have opinions about other relationships?
Yes. Especially when your own relationship is in shambles. Joey, focus on your own partner. Stop meddling other people's relationships. Unless you are doing it out of the care of your own heart and you are trying to be there for your friend and you actually have concerns. Like how some of the girls were trying to tell Jessie, like, why are you defending Joey so much? That's not good. Like, unless you're bringing it in that way, you should not have opinions about people's relationships like that. It was on the verge of like bullying and racist and mean on the season. Like, if it's that bad, it's a really red flag. Like, everything Joey and Sean did was like flashing red. Like, ew, emergency, panic. Like, really bad. There are ways you can go about giving people thoughts about the relationships in a kinder, gentler way if you're genuinely concerned. But I don't think they were genuinely concerned. I think that they were being strategic and mean.
100%. It's okay to have opinions about other people's relationships, but the way that they went about it was just so alarming. So I'm aligned.
Is it a green flag to be tested? Everyone on Love Island thinks you need to be tested. So is it a green flag?
I need to test. I need to be tested. This one is tough because kind of like what we were saying about Tilly and Omar and Sean. I think that it can give you the clarity you need, but it seemed like the men, right, Will and Sean also said this. They're like, well, I needed a test. Like, you don't need a test. It seemed like they were like, oh, well, I'm going to make out with this Casa girl.
They were like asking for it. Yeah.
They're like, well, I want to explore with a bombshell because I need a test. And it's like, what? Huh?
Do you actually like that bombshell? Do you like the Casa girl? Or are you just forcing yourself to do that? Like, if you actually are comfortable in a relationship and you're not attracted to anyone else, let it be. Relax.
Right. Like Nicole and Ciaran, right?
Yeah.
They don't need a test. And they're, right? They were never tested. No. I think it's a green flag to be tested and make it out on the other side, right? Because clearly Ayo and Mimii weren't, meant to be. And Ayo was testing Casa and now he's with Jess and they seem to be a great fit. But to want to be tested, that is a red flag.
So overall, how are we feeling about Love Island UK season 11? Is it a wait or a watch?
I have such mixed feelings about this.
Same.
Because right after season 10 of UK and season 6 of US, and those were really high quality and just really great seasons.
Yeah.
I think season 11 had a really satisfying ending,
Yes.
but was it worth watching all 60 episodes?
The journey? Not so much.
No, I think you could maybe watch Casa, and you'll get the gist of everything. Like, you don't need to watch the first half of the season, but the last 10 episodes watching Joey and Sean trying to tear down Josh and Mimii was really, really hard to watch. I would say maybe it's a wait. I love Josh and Mimii. I'm really happy for them, and the ending was great. But amazing. I don't know if it's worth watching.
If there's a way to just only watch Josh and Mimii scenes,
yes, find a supercut on TikTok or YouTube. I would totally
watch it. So I also think I'm a wait, which I hate to say because it's the first time a black couple has won. So I'm like, I want people to watch. So if you've already started, watch. If you haven't started, I would wait till you need something to watch, or just watch the last third.
Watch post Casa, maybe.
Yeah, for Josh and Mimi's love story.
On to our what to watch segment. Okay, so obviously we're looking out for these couples. We got to see what happens.
Yes.
Who do we think social media is staying together?
Even though Nicole and Ciaran fought a lot, they both live in Wales, apparently 5 minutes away from each other, and apparently are already moving in together. They could make it. I definitely don't think Joey and Jesse can make it. I definitely don't think Sean and Matilda can make it. I do think Ayo and Jessica, even though they kept being voted least compatible, I think they do seem to like each other.
Yeah.
So
seems genuine.
I think they could work. I also think Josh and Mimii could work. Fingers crossed.
Ciaran and the Black Boys. Yeah, I agree.
Literally, the trio. Our favorites.
Apparently, already Grace and Ruben doesn't look like they're together. That's what I just saw on Twitter right before we started. I was like, oh. Apparently she was seen with Omar, so she has done.
Yikes. Grace and her black men.
I mean, they're voted least likely to work on the outside, so who's surprised?
Yeah. Even though I liked Ruben, it made sense for them. Yeah, to be, voted that. So.
Yeah.
Some exciting news was dropped during the final. Maya Jama said that Love Island All-Stars is coming back. Who do we want to see in the cast?
Ooh. Well, I'll tell you who I don't want to see. Joey Essex. It was already the Joey show. I don't need... But they're probably going to bring him back. It's like Tom Sandoval. It's a Bravo universe.
And together, we will see him.
Girl, I'm making a prediction right now. They're going to bring Joey and Grace back to Love Island All-Stars. That's my prediction. 100%.
I want to see a lot of new people. Since I've started watching Love Island UK season 5, I feel like a lot of the cast has already been on All Stars, but there's still a lot of, big personalities that could be on, like Amora Higgins, who's no longer with her fiance. She might be too big for the show.
Yeah, she's the host.
She's hosting After Sun, so I don't know if she'd come back as a contestant, but I do feel like
that'd be good.
All Stars could use a bigger name. It felt like Arabella and Georgia Steele were the biggest people last season. Now that I understand more of the Love Island world, they're bigger names than those people. But do they want to come back on Love Island? I don't know. Right. It's that thing. You used it to get a platform, but now do you need it? Not necessarily. I want Ella from season 10 to be on. I think she'll be a hot commodity. Because she's stunning. She's no longer with Tyreek. And she's a baddie. So Ella, please go on Love Island All-Stars. I think it'll be great.
I'd like to see that. What if they also brought Tyreek? Because they will. Yeah, they probably will.
No, they will.
They're going to bring Joey and Grace, Ella and Tyreek.
It'll be like when they brought Callum and Molly. The final two people to be brought. It'll be the exes. It'll be a mess.
Yes. Well, if y'all enjoyed this episode of Sisters You Watch, please give us 5 stars. 5 stars wherever you listen. Apple,
thank you.
Spotify.
Appreciate it.
And follow us on all our social media platforms at Sisters Who Watch. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn. We're all there. So go support us. Give us a follow. Leave us a comment. And subscribe to our YouTube page. You can support us by buying our merch on our website, by signing up for listener support on Spotify to send us monthly donations. And you could also Zelle us, sisterswhowatch@gmail.com.
We really want to hear from y'all, our community, our audience. So you can comment and message us on social media. You can comment on our Spotify episodes, our YouTube videos. You can email us at sisterswhowatch@gmail.com. We want to hear from you, and we appreciate y'all so much. Thank you, Islanders.
Thank you. Bye, Islanders.
Bye.
Stay watching.